komt uit Rusland. Ze is de kleindochter van Tolstoj. Daar zullen we het niet over hebben. Haar boeken zijn zo schitterend, minstens zo goed als die van haar grootvader. Onze hele soort wordt erin te kijk gezet, met zoveel verbeelding en compassie, dat je er bijna vrede mee zou krijgen dat je er deel van uitmaakt. Ze rookt als een ketter. Ze houdt van haar vader. Ze heeft, hoewel hij dood is, nog steeds contact. Hij was natuurkundige in een land, geteisterd door massamoord en vervolging.
I would say that he disciplined my mind, talking to me about the science. Let's say he disciplined my mind. How one should think about things and what one should not. The questions one shouldn't ask.
Such as? Such as?
In scientific terms.
Yeah.
For example. I remember I asked him when I was a child, what is everything made of? Okay, I know molecules, then atoms, then next, what is the tiniest part? Well, particles of, all these quarks, I don't remember whether they were...
And he answered to Shakespeare, we are such tough as dreams are made of? Or?
Yeah, yes, of course, but this kind of conversation is, I was good at it too. But as for material stuff, matter, and I asked him, what are the atoms made of? And he said, of themselves. Well, inside atoms there's electricity, and what is electricity made of? So I tried to split everything, going right to the very beginning. And I remember I was 7 or something like that. He tried very patiently to explain to me that some questions are irrelevant. What does it mean that they're made of? Are they made of cabbage juice? I remember him asking me, are they made of copper? So to see your own, stupidity in a way helps you to remove these questions. You shouldn't ask that because they're made of themselves. It's mind-boggling, but they are not made of something. This stuff is made of. To the very beginning there is something. But how to describe it? How to start thinking about it? Or going to the macro world, for example. Well, the universe, let us say it's expanding. It's growing.
Yeah.
And what is outside it? Because if you imagine it as a balloon, what is outside the balloon? And if the space is inside the universe by definition, then into what it is growing, if there is no space outside? Again, this is the question that is not asked at this point, because there is no language to talk about it. So if there is no language to talk about certain things, then we stop talking and, let's say, we turn to mathematics.
That's what your father said. Okay, let's stop talking about what's unanswerable.
Yes.
Forget it.
He explained to me how can it be that where is my mistake in asking, because we are talking that the universe is the balloon. Okay, but it's a metaphor. You cannot extend the metaphor too far, because the balloon has air inside, air outside, but the universe is not a balloon. So there is no air outside this balloon. So one should be very accurate and not try to break this wall with inappropriate language. So he somehow kept me wondering all the time, because he was fascinated by the very fact that the world exists and the life lives and so on. And he knew how to cherish the very quality that happens from time to time in people, being extraordinary, being great, jumping over that surface, that common surface for all people. And it's a wonderful lesson when we are young, because when you are young you are ambitious and moody and envy other people, and if they allow you to go this way, you may destroy your character and lose many wonderful emotions that you were supposed to feel. He was very noble in his emotions, I would say.
Noble.
And his energy was unbelievable. Unbelievable. I think the interest to life and energy, they somehow go together. And it doesn't mean that, for example, he was, I would say, a person with always with a positive thinking. No, he had his moods. He suffered from moods. And he told me that when he was younger, he was in his 20s, I think, he had the onset of these moods, so that he felt depressed, and he had to get away from people. And he said that the only cure was to lie on the sofa with your head to the wall and cover it with a blanket and stay like that for hours until the mood passes. So it doesn't mean that he was an example of of a character. He had everything a person has: irritation, irritability, moods, depression, injustice. He had it all. He was not exemplary. He was just fascinating.
How did you react to the situation in Russia itself?
In Russia?
Yeah.
Life was always difficult, not in material terms for that family, because his father earned enough, but in terms of constant danger. Every single moment, any one of them could have been arrested. So mother's family and father's family, they somehow thought that it's too easy, to emigrate and to be no one. It's much more challenging to stay and try to be someone. So I think he thought it that way. And then the great possibilities, always had been great possibilities for a person in Russia, for an individual. If the state doesn't take care of whatever, the society doesn't pay attention, you yourself can do many things. Just try. So when you are not immediately seized and arrested and killed, then a person in Russia can do a lot. Maybe not in regular European terms, but in terms of uplifting, helping, showing the way, some kind of immaterial things. You can teach students, you can be the best lecturer, and he was the best teacher in the university. Got a medal for that or something of the kind. Because whether it is whether we live at the time of the dinosaurs, or there's Stalin, or there's Hitler, or whoever, but you are teaching physics and there is 200 young people who want to study it, so just be the best lecturer. That's the only thing that matters. Or you can say, the weather is bad, or the society is horrible. Well, all societies are horrible, but just do it. And I think it's a great thing. He also managed to meet many people who thought it just the same way. They were doing the best they could, and were fascinated by the world.
Zal het vanavond gaan over de vader van Tatjana Tolstaja? Ten dele. Hij komt de verhalen van zijn dochter straks vanzelf weer binnensluipen. Mogelijk kijkt hij nu. Zeker is dat niet. Zal het gaan over zijn dochter en over het leven dat ze leidde voor het leven nu? Ja. Over het leven dat ze na haar dood zal leiden? Ja. Over Rusland? Ook. Maar vooral zal het gaan over waarheid en dichtdoen. Ik bedoel, is het belangrijk of onze verhalen waar zijn, of is het voldoende dat ze mooi zijn?
Nostalgia comes, I think, not mostly, I wouldn't say that, but partly from the sudden elimination of opportunities. There was just many roads going to all directions from each point, and after that there was just one road, and the dirty one. And the injustice, and that just hurts too much. There's so many books written. It hurts to read them, just about the fates of certain people. Many of them we know. Just the way they were destroyed, and the ideas were destroyed, and everything was destroyed, and the irrationality of all this. Oh my God. Once in the 60s, I think, in a magazine, I think it was some kind of anniversary of Lenin, and so the old Bolsheviks, so to say, they wrote what they remembered about the dearest. And there was nothing to read around. I mean, new literature, new magazines come, and it's a thick magazine where I read. And I was just leafing through, and was interested by the story of one woman, the old Bolshevik. Of course, she loved Lenin and his wife and whatever. And there was a funny story there. The woman writes about it without actually realizing what it means and how it applies to the whole life. The year was, I think, 1919 or something, when people were eating dead horses in the street. And many people died of hunger and diseases connected with hunger. So in the Kremlin, as she asserts, there was not much to eat too. I don't believe her, but anyway. According to her story, there was some flour and I think that's it. Well, water is always available. So Lenin wanted to ask the women to make a pie for the evening, and they told him that if you make it from just flour and water, there will be no pie. Well, there will be something, but that's all. They said, we need an egg at least, and he said, no eggs, according to the story. And they said, well, without the eggs there will be no pie. Just, you cannot do it. They started to explaining again, and he became angry, and he said that the country is hungry and you are talking about eggs, so there will be no egg for you. I guess he had hidden some more, but anyway, you manage with this flour and water, and of course nothing came out of it. So if it's true, I don't think it is exactly true as she says, but it reflects the approach. No, we can build the society without eggs, just flour and water and will, political will, and here's the result. The irrationality of all this, it always surprised me. You know, this story, another story about Lenin, somewhere in 18, perhaps a year before, he arrested many business people and bankers and kept them in prison until they tell him how to get money and gold. And they tried to explain right there from the prison that you need a society that works, banks, people who sell and buy, commerce and blah 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 and so on and so on. No, you are liars. You just tell me how do you make money. They tried to explain again. He thought that they say, wow, there's gold and he can sell and buy. And he's considered to be smart. Quotations from his works. I had a friend of mine who collected them in Soviet time. He just was reading, one of a few who was reading Lenin's works, and when he found something exceptionally interesting, he put it in his notebook. For example, we are not killing enough professors. Just professors, not enough. We could be a European country. We had the chance. if not for the revolution. And let's say if not for the First World War, because of course it speeded up a lot. We had a chance. So now, such a historical chance. We missed it, and now it's much more difficult to come back from these ruins. But still it's the most fascinating place to live in Russia.
Russia?
Mm-hmm. Of course. Because things happen not the way you expect them to happen. And people have a unique combination of irrationality, highest possible individualism, romanticism, and cynicism in the same way. This kind of mixture, I never saw it in other places. Life was given to you to live, so just live it.
And to wander.
Mm-hmm. Yes, because all these excuses, I cannot do this and that because the society is so bad and we are ruled by the tyrant. But when? Tell me. I know world history more or less. When the time was wonderful, the right time to live. When was it? What was the period? I don't know any period of that time. So it's all the excuses. But many people concentrate on these excuses and are very, very unhappy. And my parents, I think, were very happy, though the life was not easy. They got everything from life, and sorrow and grief and joy and whatever. They had a very full life. And they were surrounded by people, and they were fathered by people who appreciated life just as we know it. They didn't wait for someone to come and to give you
the Messiah coming, showing up one day, and he will help you finally. You'd better do it yourself.
Yeah, because you are given just this very moment. It's just one moment that lasts, goes over. The boat that floats over the river. There is nothing else here in this life, on this side of the world. So he kind of felt it.
No self-pity.
Maybe he did have self-pity, but not in this regular form. Oh my, no. So he ventilated, if he had any self-pity, he ventilated it through some irritation or depression, but didn't show much of it.
And did he teach you to take responsibility for your own life? And not say that the others are responsible for your fault?
No. I somehow started feeling very early that no one is responsible for me. And I have a good rule. If you feel bad about life treating you badly, go and help someone else. Or don't complain, shut your mouth. That's it. Because no one is obliged to come and help you. You do it yourself. That's the only self-help that exists. Because let's imagine that you are staying at home and feel very, very, very unhappy and want some beautiful prince to come and give you a present. Imagine the prince rings the bell, you open the door, he comes and brings something that you don't consider a present. And you are in an even worse mood. And the prince is disappointed, runs away. Oh my God, no.
So what do you do when your life is in jeopardy? What do you seek for consolation?
Work.
Like your father?
Work, help.
Taking the blanket over your head, looking at the wall for about several hours? No?
Some members of our extended family, they have this kind of mood, but I didn't get it in my character. No.
So what do you do? When life is really tough?
Take a book and read a book. I just let myself read a book because...
One of your own?
No. Just some book that I delay reading all the time. We promise ourselves that we'll read all good or important books and we never do, because there are lots of them. But one day when you feel that life is very low and time somehow disappears at that moment, so take this book. It's a piece of eternity, and it's amazing how it helps.
That's a piece of eternity.
Concentrated in a book. And then, well, if it happens to be, let's say, very good Russian writer, then it soothes your soul in a way, because of many reasons. It's wonderfully written. It's your heart is beating. It carries you away, and all people have the same problems you do think, or whatever. So it's fine. But when you happen to take a book that is poorly translated into Russian, first you are carried away, and then you become so mad about that you really all the energy comes back. Yeah. How can you do that? And life comes back.
Yeah, but just recognizing that fate, our destiny, our deeds, our thoughts are universal. You can recognize them on the pages of somebody else's book.
Yes.
That's consoling.
Yes, I think so, because, well, especially at the young age, you may think that your situation is unique.
Yeah.
No one understands me. I'm unique. Very, very common way of thinking. But you need a cold shower. Just read a book and you'll see that everything is known, everything is written down, even the details of your relationship with the universe, they are recorded there. It's also a well-known effect. It calms you down unbelievably.
Yeah?
You start laughing.
Yeah, start laughing.
You start laughing. If you have some
kind of hilarity.
Yes, exactly.
I'm not that important. That feeling also?
No, I am as important as anyone else, I would say.
But
no, it doesn't diminish you, but okay. So I'm not pathologically important, I would say. Yes, the story has to have an inner beauty. It may be a horrible story with lots of, I don't know what.
Could be an Auschwitz, wherever. But the story has to be beautiful.
The story has to be beautiful, and what is the beauty of the story? It's some kind of harmony. You're looking for the harmony. Even if let's say the very stuff of the story is repulsive or disgusting. Let's say you choose the subject that is not for each person's nerves, but the way you put these things together in order to reach a certain result, this is where beauty lies. Just how it is done. Yes, harmony.
What exactly is harmony? Let's be very specific. What do you mean with harmony? And why do you want to grasp harmony?
I have some idea. Again, the whole world is, the whole universe, I think, is made of the same stuff and based on the same principles, though they are too numerous, these principles, and too unknown to us. And, well, let's say science on the one hand and art on the other hand is trying to figure out what this harmony is. But if you take music, you know that music is mathematical, right? So what makes sounds pleasant to our ear is the mathematical formula that underlies these sounds, this music. Same perhaps in architecture or visual arts. Let's say an extremely abstract picture. There is an old anecdote about a painter who, let's say, painted the whole canvas blue and put one red dot at a specific place, and he was asked how long it takes to create this picture by some ignorant crowd, and he says to paint it just 1 hour, but to find the right place for this dot took me the whole life. And of course it's a kind of parable, but it's exactly true. And if such a picture exists, You can, I'm sure about that, you can take all the measurements between the dot and the let us say the edge of the canvas, and figure out what kind of formula underlies this position of this dot. It may not be a simple formula, it may be some complicated formula, but still the right place for the dot tends to perform, to repeat, to visualize, to incorporate, to put in flesh some abstract mathematical formula. And when you hear the wonderful music, you hear mathematics in a way. When you look at the canvas, whether it's abstract or figurative, you see mathematics. You see something that is the basis of the world. This is perhaps where harmony lies. Something in that direction, I would say. It's not exactly, I cannot put my finger into it, but it's in this direction the harmony lies. That our body is an instrument that is looking for the basis of this world, of the main principles of this world, and finds pleasure in finding them. This is what harmony is. If you think about the reality, if you think very hard, you stop understanding what the reality is. First of all, because you have great difficulties with a real contact with other people. Their reality is parallel to yours, or perpendicular, or whatever. It's just different. So if it's just your reality, does the reality exist? I don't know. And then the moods. You're in a good mood, you're in a bad mood, you had enough sleep, you didn't. The reality changes. So whether the reality exists by itself, I'm not sure. I'm not sure. The most mysterious thing that we know, the feeling of me versus non-me. All the rest is explainable. This feeling that it's me is not explainable. There's no reason for it. And you take my word for granted that I feel myself. And for me, as for each person, all the rest is not me. So I have to take your word for your having your own self inside, and for you feeling that you are me of the sort.
Yeah.
Because when you leave the door, how do I know you exist? How do I know? There's no proof of it. It's just the door locked. Same you feel about me. So just I appear. Maybe I'm an illusion. Shadows on the wall, and there is no possible human experiment to prove otherwise. It's only I know that I exist, and I cannot prove it to anyone here in the studio. I remember my very, very early childhood. I remember, it turns out that I remember one moment when I was a year and 3 months old. And I would never be able to remember that, but I remember the moment because it was a shocking moment, and then I saw the photograph because my father was photographing me at this time, and there is a small, tiny figure with the mouth open, amazed and shocked and frightened by something.
You?
Me. I thought it was when I was 5 years old, but actually it turns out that I was 1 year and 3 months old. What happened? We lived in the country house, and someone opened the door and showed me a little pig to see my reaction. And for me, it was just horror. Because I was so small. Yes, it was a huge pig, like a hippopotamus. And I remember someone talking to me in a false voice, which some people use when they talk to children. Open this door, what a nice door, look what you see there. And so I was very trustful, as I remember that. And I was very emotional at that time. I wanted to know, and I was a little bit afraid, but I expected something wonderful there. And then this door opens, and wow, yes. Just a monster in the darkness, and it turned and it growled. It was horrible. And I remembered through all my life my feelings that I had at that moment. And at that moment I didn't talk yet. I remember panic, horror, fear, and so on. Everyone laughed, of course, around me. And then I remember that I had a feeling of pity to all these people who make such a fun of my self, of my soul that is frightened, of the that they think I'm small. I'm not. I had the feeling that I'm as adult, as large, as whatever, as universal as I feel it now. And even at that time, I felt that I'm larger. I had the feeling that at a certain point, the point is lost, of course, but wherever, at birth, before birth, I don't know. It's as if I had to be squeezed into a tiny body and learn how to live in this world. But the knowledge of something else, of the world that preceded this world, was not completely lost, and it comes through in patches, It does come through, and it comes through in many ways, in dreams, in fantasies, in some déjà vus,
the lives you lived before you entered this world,
yes,
the present state of
yes, but I don't know where and how, in time or before time or whatever. Yes. Through all my life, I remembered certain episodes that never happened as I realized it later. They were kind of mental live photographs that were always with me, whether you walk or talk or try to go to sleep. There are a number of episodes of photographs that seem to mean nothing, but they change themselves in your mind. You remember faces.
How do I imagine? Do you see faces or surroundings from former life?
As if they happened. Well, what I remember was something that seemed to have happened to me some early age. I mean, some early century.
Kind of déjà vus?
More than that. I had a couple of déjà vus, and they are of different quality a little bit.
What's the difference?
Déjà vu happens, all of a sudden it happens.
But this is feeding you from
it existed as if I really lived that life, but I didn't. I remember there are two very persistent things, persistent images that I remember, and one of them it could never happen in my life because I see myself in a place. It's a kind of a convent or monastery, and I'm a servant. And I see myself as if I'm in some body. I mean, I see myself from this place down. I see some kind of long dress, grayish brown. And
that's all you see. You don't see the face.
No, because I'm inside this.
What's down?
Yes, as we all see ourselves.
Yeah.
So I just see a long dress, and I don't care because it's me, so I don't pay much attention. But I remember myself being that person. And there is a young man, very, very blonde, with a kind of a string that keeps his hair from falling on his face, and in something white, I think, some white shirt or whatever. And I think I'm ordered to bring some wood. So I come to him.
To him.
Yes, and to take this wood, and he gives me this wood, and then this is it, because I will go and whatever. The rest is just extrapolation. I'm not talking about that. But I remember the quality of the air, the temperature. It is early morning, either in the fall or in spring, rather in the fall, because I see a little bit of snow on the walls, and the walls are made of brick, and they're kind of a rosy color. It's very early in the morning because the sun is very low, and I think I started my day with some kind of chores. So I always remember that. And this memoir, unlike other memoirs, has an extremely blissful quality. I just feel that I'm extremely happy.
The moment you remember, the moment you
Yes.
see it,
Yes.
the moment you relive it, or
I don't know, because it's just a moment. I cannot move further, not before that point, not after this point. But
it's a segment, frozen in
yes,
time.
it's frozen in time, but everyone is moving. So it's just maybe 5 seconds, I don't know, 10 seconds, with the full realization that I'm alive, I live, and I have to do something. I came to pick up this wood, something of that kind. And it's extremely strong, and this is the happiest memoir that one can have, because it has a different quality. You know, when you remember a happy moment, a real happy moment that happened to you.
In your own life.
Yes.
Yes. That's different from this one.
Absolutely, because time goes on, and you remember, and you rather think, what a happy time was when I did something.
Was 7 or 8, and with my father, etc.
Yeah.
But this is different.
This is different because when I come back to it, and rather it comes back to me, because it just happens like that, passes through my head. Same thing again and again. It's a full feeling. Then I feel happiness, and when I just remember about some nice things, well, I remember nice things.
It's nice, and that's all.
Yes, but I cannot feel them with all my senses. I can only remember how nice they were.
Yeah, but this is a kind of appearance out of a reality which was yours once.
I don't know. Perhaps. I have no answer. I know that this is part of my inside life, my imagination, or maybe my reality.
What is it? Is it your imagination, or is it the former life? What are we talking about?
I would like to know, because either or.
You don't exclude the former life?
No, I don't exclude. But the thing is that this kind of thing, it's very difficult to talk about them, because I know that many people laugh at that, and they think that if a person believes in former life, then the person believes in flying saucers and all these kind of things. No, it's a different thing. It's just I don't suggest anything. It feels as if it were a former life.
Yeah, but you're not sure, and it doesn't matter?
And it doesn't matter.
Because what exactly are you feeling at that very moment? If you're talking about happiness, extreme happiness.
I would tell you what you feel. You feel that you are immortal. If it is former life, then you are immortal. Yourself is immortal. Your body is mortal, yes. But yourself, whatever it is, will come back, and you will feel that it's you. The most wonderful, the most amazing, the most unbelievable thing is why I am me and others and the world is not. Only me is me. All the rest of the world is not. They can do whatever they want, but they cannot become me, I cannot become them. The only thing that is me is me. It may give a very lonely feeling to many people.
Yeah.
Extremely lonely. Some people just get mad with that very feeling. They cannot stay alone because they want some kind of artificial talk to whoever it is. It's not a real love to someone, but it's just a need to feel that you are not alone, so that this horrible loneliness is somehow dissolved, so you can forget about it for a while. But I once perhaps felt this way a little bit, but for a very short time. I rather feel that I'm absolutely immortal.
That's the first sensation. When the memory comes up, you feel immortal.
No, I would say that I feel that I'm happy. As happy as as we understand happiness. I just feel it. And thinking about why I'm so happy about that, I can suggest that this immortality, the life that lasts and cannot be destroyed, that's what gives you this joy. Because what is the joy of life? To be. So if I had been, then I will be forever. And the fact that you cannot destroy that, I think it's amazing. And that's the consolation. But
no
for me,
fear for dying.
Yes, no fear. I'm not involved that much with the reality as we know it. in a way. I'm more involved with something that is not considered reality.
Yeah, imagination.
Yes, and I think that there is a bridge, a link between this world and some other way of existence. We know nothing about this next dimensions. Let's say that the brain as we know it, it's a greyish piece of something, rather unpleasant to look at. I saw the operation on the brain, and it's fascinating, but rather unpleasant. And the neurons or axons or whatever they are called, something else, flesh. But if this disgusting, tiny piece of flesh is just that much, if it can hold a self, a me, a myself, a human being,
the illusion of.
Oh, the illusion of. If
because
it can hold it,
dying,
then. But if this can hold it together, can you imagine how many things in the huge world can do the same? If you wanted to look at it in material way, if it's just a piece of cake, you know. If this can be a person, then of course the world that is expanding, as we think about it, with all these plasma and whatever and dimensions, it can also be a huge brain of a sort. Something, an instrument that holds the self or selves together. How do you know that it's not true? No one can tell me that's not true, because there is no confirmation of it. But you cannot say that it cannot be. It can. We just stop talking about it when we talk with scientists, because they hate discussing something that cannot be proved. They feel very uncomfortable.
You are afraid of the idea that when you die, your brains are dying, your
I'm not
thoughts
afraid
are
of it.
dying, your imagination is
I'm
dying.
not afraid of it. I'm not. No, I once died, actually.
Yeah. It's the first thing
died.
you came up with when I talked to you on the phone of Duty and Consolation.
Yeah.
You said, I had a near-death experience.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
What happened? Because it made something clear about the afterlife?
Yes. Let me see, I was 18, and they gave me the wrong shot, the anti-tetanus shot, and I was allergic to that, which I didn't know. So I returned from the hospital, which was on the opposite side of the street where I live. Came back home. It was early in the morning, and I needed, because I cut my finger badly, so I didn't want the dirt to get into my blood system. And I was drinking coffee, and suddenly I felt very, very sick. And I thought, okay, it's just the first cigarette in the morning, it happens. But then I became sicker and sicker and sicker, and I started feeling that I cannot move. I have a horrible vertigo and something else. Just my body becomes something else, and I become something else. And this me, myself, wants to get out of the body. My body became so disgusting to me that I felt as I'm pulling myself away from it. I suddenly realized, it just kind of dawned on me. I went and lay on the bed and asked my mother to quickly get the doctors, because I knew a little about these things. I was always interested in medical things, and asked her to bring the doctors. So while they were
You
coming,
knew there was a risk of dying? Or did you realize?
At that moment I didn't think about it, no. No.
Okay.
Later, yes, and before, yes. But at that moment I was struggling with the body in a double way. First, I wanted to take it off. On the other hand, I somehow realized that I have to put myself back into it. So it lasted for, I don't know, 10, 15 minutes, the time it took for doctors to come to our apartment, something of that kind. So I stayed on the bed, and my vision became very narrow, like that. So I saw everything as if I'm looking through kind of a tube. But this was not that important, though of course the rest of the vision field was dark, as it happens in a twilight, something like that. And in this darkness I just saw and heard and felt and so on, with all feelings, certain things happening. This all happened at the same time. I will describe it a little bit, but all these, the adventure of each given feeling. For example, with my ears,
experience, yeah.
Yes, with my ears I heard the sound very loud, but not coming from the outside, not from the inside, but from some third place in a way. It's as if I'm standing very close to the engine running, some train. And it was very, the amplitude was very short, very quick. And it was kind of unbearable. It happened to the brain. With my eyes, I saw, after this the sound, I heard a kind of a swish, and from the upper right corner of the world, somewhere there, it was a ceiling, as if the oxygen mask was thrown on me. It was a cone made of very, very thick, dark something, like an air. It didn't have the substance. It was like darkness. It was the ideal cone, and I had the time to wonder how ideal it is. And it was connected with just the whatever, with a very, very thin string or something like that, hair, I don't know. And it covered me. At the moment when it covered me, and I was lying on my back, and it was very, very difficult to move with my feet because I just lost the power of my feet. But at the same time, when it covered me, there were two things that I realized, and the realization just came like a flash. It was so interesting, I had no fear, not at any given moment. One thing was that I saw suddenly I saw like how my body stood up with my feet up, and something was pulling me into that cone. And I was connected with the surface, the flat surface, with this place. So there's like a place here, like a dot. And at the same time I was lying on the bed. And I felt it. And I felt very, very heavy. I couldn't actually move my members. And I thought, how interesting. What is going on? What is it? I saw and felt and understood this other body, which was also made of some kind of semi-transparent substance. And it started pulling me there, and though I was going there with my feet up, it didn't matter because I could see with something. My eye could see not down but up. It became made no difference whether my eye is on my feet, that other eye, the eye with which we see our dreams when we sleep at night, because the eyes are closed, but we see everything. We turn our head and see things. So what do we see? Where is it? Somewhere. And this started pulling me, and I saw that this cone ends with this tube. The string actually became a tube, so I realized that you can go through it. And I thought, I'm so large and this cone is not large at all. How will I manage to squeeze into that tube? And then I understood how.
Was it tempting to do it?
Yes, very tempting. Only some kind of a pity to those who, I understand, it's going away. Let's say dying. What does this mean? It's just leaving this world, but a pity to those who will remain.
You were aware of the fact that you were about to leave?
Yes, leave this place. Mm-hmm. Yes, very much so. So I struggled between the physical relief that I would feel as soon as I say to myself or something, okay, I go, and the feeling of pity to those who would remain, because it was even funny. I thought at the same time, it's both pitiful and funny. They come, I'm dead. Isn't it funny? Because I am not dead. So how will I squeeze into that tube in this way? Everything which is me leaves my body. I felt it. My legs are useless. My arms, hands are useless. The self collects here, and it becomes a sphere, Again, the sphere that is made of unknown substance like thick air, but it has a center, and the center cannot be destroyed. So while I am in flesh and blood, this self, it's like water. It goes in all parts of my body. As soon as it's time to leave, it becomes again the sphere, and the sphere becomes the center, and the center is perfectly fit to go to the tube. And then again, at the same time as I saw the black cone and the tube, I saw that I didn't know the length of the tube. It didn't matter at all. It was a very long length, but the time that you need to follow that road is unknown. It's as if, you watch from a hill, you see a road. Is it short? If you look at it like this, it's like this. But if you walk it, it's long, so it doesn't matter. The cone, the tube becomes another cone, and it's open like that, up. And it's blue, filled with blue air. And it's wonderful. So I realized that there's a kind of proportional thing. This cone is black, that one is blue, so I will pass through this tube and get there. Now, there was another thing that I felt all the time. It was a surprise how this thing works, because, as I said, it was an ideal cone, and the projection of an ideal cone is round, forgot the word, the ideal round thing. But I'm not round, I'm oblong. But my whole body just fits into that round circle. Yeah, a circle, this is the word. So the long thing perfectly fits into a circle. How? I don't know, but it's just this way. And I thought that it's all well thought through. So I was balancing between this and that world for a while, and I had a feeling. I felt very badly physically, but I had a joyful feeling, overwhelming feeling that now I know how it works. Now I know that there is no death, because there is no wall that I will have to smash my head through. It's as if you run in a car without brakes, and you realize, my God, there's a wall, and I will die. But when the car hits the wall, you realize that it was just a mist. It seemed to be a wall. It had to seem to be a wall. And at that very moment, it all happened in 10 minutes. The quick realization, understanding, things like that. I understood why there is the fear of death, which before that moment was very strong with me. The fear of death is not the fear of death. It's the fear that life, it's kind of an electroshock that the life puts at the end, so that you don't want to go there. Because if there's no fear of death, we'll all die without taking care of ourselves. Right? We'll be destroyed as life on earth or whatever. There's some need for us to be in flesh. So in order to stay here for a certain period, there is a monster at the end. And we try not to think about that monster. But actually this monster is on the screen. There's nothing there. Just you leave this world, and you become something else in some other world. But the self is not destroyed. That's how I felt since then.
That's what you
it changed my life
during
completely.
this 10 minutes.
Yes. And it was a wonderful experience. But at that time, I didn't hear anything about this life after death or around death experiences, and no one around me ever heard about it, because the first book by Dr. Modi, who published it, appeared, I would say, 5 years later. Something of that kind.
But what happened? You experienced this near-death experience. You were not afraid of dying anymore. Yeah?
Not till now.
No.
Though I don't want to die. Because the need to live and to...
You'll live in another life also.
Right,
That's your belief.
But I will never, going there, after I'm there, I would never be me here. And there, perhaps will be the same kind of me, sitting in another armchair. As you cannot destroy this self, you just change forms. Why should I change this form before it's time? No idea. It's fine as long as I feel like living. I will.
It's strange. Imagine a little thought experiment. Imagine an afterlife. Yeah, you being the self, yourself, Tatjana Tolstaja.
No, I won't have any name.
Oh well, but you're the same person, the same soul,
Yes.
the same intelligence, the same imagination.
Not exactly the same.
Try to imagine yourself what it would mean to be immortal. My God. And to stay yourself, to be the same person as you always were.
I don't think I'll be the same person.
But first, try to imagine what it would mean.
I tried.
Tatjana Tolstaja being.
In order not to be, first, no, Tatjana Tolstaja, it's another thing, another person, but in order to not to feel bad about it, we are not given the memory about the previous lives, only as some snapshots, flashes, because otherwise we would know too much. And perhaps it will be kind of destructive. Again, if it works this way. Actually, I'm writing a novel just about that. And my hero, main character, I wrote a part of it. Not much yet, but I have some idea of how I'll keep moving with it. He's just a man who believes that he's a kind of archangel, and whether he's mad or has a vivid imagination, one is not supposed to be sure about, because it's the same thing.
This is the metaphor for your own thinking.
Yes. Of course, because the only thing we can do is to express ourselves.
We have too many difficulties with everyday's life, reality, so we use our imagination.
Exactly. So this person remembers nearly all of his lives, and he's immortal, and it is a source of great sorrow for him, because he wants to die completely, forever, to return back. That's how he feels about it. So for the reader, the idea is that for the reader, it is you can read it both ways. It is just a life of a person who thinks that he remembers all these previous lives, and he's in despair that he will have to live another one and another one and another one. But also, it's just a person who lives one life and lives it this way, all in his imagination. So, kind of slightly mad. On the other hand, you can read it as a story with fantastic elements. What if, yes, he's immortal because he can remember all these things, and he's not a very nice man to make things more interesting, so on. So to feel about it, to think about it, to somehow turn it into a story, that's what I've been doing lately. But talking about the boredom of coming back, I don't feel this boredom, but what would be very boring is to live this life on and on and on and never die, even if you don't change. I mean, if you're young, that's the most horrible thing. You have to wait till all people you know die. First you care about them. Then generation after generation you stop caring about them. Because you saw it all.
Yeah.
That's the most horrible thing.
Don't love anybody. Don't kill anyone. It's useless. No pleasures.
Yeah,
sex will be boring from the first minute to the last.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Because you know that, I marry a young girl, then wait till she's 78, because she will be. And I will stay. Well, don't
imagine the others dying, like we do now, and you're the only one to stay alive.
Horrible.
We need again all this.
No. We need death to, like a shower.
That's a precondition for beauty and consolation.
Yeah, exactly. We need a shower to reshape ourselves and come out new and fresh. with some kind of old knowledge just lurking somewhere there at the back of our minds, to keep things together, links of the same chain, while this world runs. I mean, even the Earth as a planet. Today I read in the newspaper that before the scientists were giving 5 billion years for the Earth, and then it dies, because the sun becomes huge, and now they give only 500 million, the worst case. So first I became worried, and then I thought it's funny to be worried about that. 500 million, 5 billions. There are other aspects of the problems we're talking about, but that would take us too far. What I mean is talking about God, or about the harmony in the world, or about the mathematics that at least to us seems to underlie the visible and invisible world. Talking about this kind of thing, we may use all kinds of definitions, all kinds of words. Well, God is as good as any, world ratio, or the great unknown, or whatever. It doesn't matter at this point. But to use the old word, let's call it God. There are moments in life, and for me, it happened only in my dream when I was sleeping. It never happened in the daytime. I had the extremely nightmarish and unpleasant feeling of God turning himself away from me. That was the real loneliness. I never felt anything like that in any of the circumstances in my long life. Never felt anything like that. In my dream, that was it.
God's turning away from you.
Yes, there was no God. God just disappeared from the world. It's as if the world really exists without God. It was the most horrible feeling I ever had. And then this was cured. I returned back to a certain place. It's all symbolic, It's all symbolic. When I was talking about my close to death experience.
Because if you're talking about a world without God, you're talking about a world without meaning.
Yes.
Just being there for no other reason.
For no other reason. Yeah. And being too smart to bear it, If I were absolutely stupid, I would somehow bear it. But I cannot, because then all my thinking and feeling, it's all in vain. And it's all the great means with nothing. It's the unbearable. I mentioned when I was talking about my feelings during this death experience. I mentioned this cone that somehow fell out from the right side of above. And later I saw dreams where I either go to the right or to the left. There is a direction dream. When I go to the right, it becomes better and better and better and better, and lighter, and the utmost joy is around the corner, sort of. When I go to the left, it's worse and worse and worse, and just it becomes horrible. And the scenery is something I know, so it doesn't matter. It's just a place where our country house stays. And for another person, it would be something else. For a third, something else. But it's left and right that matters. Just two things to say. One is that it's also symbolic. It seems it's common for the humankind, because the word sinister, of course, meant the left in Latin, and so now it became a sinister thing. So left is bad and right is good, and everyone is supposed to feel this way. And another thing that I wanted to say about that, there are the investigations, the medical investigations, that show that the children, small children, say before the age of 12, from 3 to 12, that are in the hospitals and that have some horrible diseases, and children are strange. They can suddenly become cured of leukemia or die from just nothing. So their organism has some peculiarities. Anyway, no one knows. The doctors have some expectations, life expectations, but no one knows whether children will survive, let's say, the treatment or operation, or whether they will die. And of course, the small children, so they are given pencils and paper so that they can draw pictures. And it was noted that you can judge by these pictures whether the child will die or survive. And it's quite a work, and many books, I think, were published about that. But I read one of them, and it was amazing. The color matters. Which color they do use, but also what is important is when the whole movement in the picture, and they usually draw themselves, fir trees, bears, bunnies. If the whole movement goes from lower left corner to upper right, then the child will survive. If it goes in the outward, backward direction to the lower left, then the child will die. And there's a statistic that shows that it works in considerable number of cases, statistically considerable number of cases. So the idea of the upper right corner is it's a benign idea. Something that comes from upper right is good, lower left is bad. This is what sinister is. And when I read about it, it struck me as very true, because somehow in the dreams you know that. When you go to the left and you just go and go there, you move away from all meaning, all love, all compassion, just everything that is important to you. And you cannot stop. Let's say you are skiing in your dream or something like that. You just cannot stop. For some reason you have to work. And you just weep and weep and weep, and you know that God turned his back to you. This is the most unbearable thing I can imagine.
Did you have any mental picture of God in your childhood?
No. No. Our family didn't believe in God. Everyone was
real atheists.
Yeah. And when I was a child, I have some kind of problems with that. I asked my father, what happens to a human being after death? And he had a very materialistic answer. He said, I would like to believe or to have some proof of the continuation of this existence, but as a physicist, unfortunately, I know that there is no such thing. And when I was small, of course, could I say? But when I became older, and especially after my near-death experience, I argued with him, and with a certain success.
That is to say, what was the success?
That is to say that towards the very end of his life, he, 2 months before his death, he suddenly told me that he found a way to send me a signal from that side. And he did. He did. I remember that he left the room, went to another room, and then I think he went to fetch some cigarettes, and then he turned back and said, look, I have an idea. As I will die before you do, I decided that I have to send you a signal from that place. And I've been thinking, what kind of signal would that be, so that you don't confuse it with other signals, because as we know, we can take
thinking or whatever. Yes. Yeah.
So he said, I decided to choose a word which is extremely rare. So if you see this word somewhere, anywhere, you know that it's me sending you a signal. Well, I laughed and I said, which word? And he said, I suddenly remembered the word ipecacuana. It's a Latin word meaning some kind of grass, herb actually, that was used as some kind of medicine, and now is not used anymore. It's, I think, for coughing, for releasing the cough. And the word sounds silly, stupid word in a way, ipecacuana. Oh, yeah. I'm not sure, well, it's written in Latin words or in Russian, in Latin letters or Russian letters, but I'm not sure if it's Latin. Maybe it comes from some other place. Anyway, so we laughed together, and I said, that's a good choice for the word, because I actually know the word, but I saw it only once in my life, and I more or less remember in which book. So I promised not to open that book and find another way. So we were laughing and having fun, and then I left to America, and he stayed in Russia, and after 2 months he died. So I came in time to see him alive, though he was in a comatose state. Anyway, I knew that he's an old man, and it may happen at any time, but needless to say that it was a great grief for me. And
because you really adored him and loved him.
Yes. And I started waiting for the signal right after his death. And I realized it's stupid. But still, I was looking everywhere. I even tried some illegal ways of finding the word. For example, I entered a shop and asked to see a book about herbs and looked in the glossary to find it. Never saw it in that form. Once I saw it in the form of ipecac, not the long word, but a shortened one. So I decided, shame on you, I said to myself. One doesn't look for this science in that way. Okay, time went on, and in a couple of months a man called me from Italy. He's an editor. He said that I'm invited to some kind of conference, but as the organizer of this conference doesn't speak English, and he does, he agreed to be a coordinator. So I said, with pleasure. And he wanted to buy me a ticket, but I said, I want to stay 10 days in Italy, because me and my husband will go there and use this possibility to take a trip. And he said, do you want to stay with us? I live in a wonderful house right in the middle of Florence. Right in the middle of Florence. I said, well, if you are so kind, then yeah, sure, with pleasure. So it happened this way. The conference was over, and we stayed with this nice man and so on. And we had, I omit many details, just to make the long story short, but one day, the last day before we left, I had a dream. I had a dream, and in this dream, I saw my father in a very live way. He was, I could feel him. I will omit the details of the dream because it will take us too far away, but we talked and we couldn't understand each other, and I asked him questions of great importance, as it seemed to me in my dream. For example, how long am I going to live? I think it's a matter of importance. And he refused to tell me. He said, you here never understand our answers. You overturn them and distort them and understand a different way. And I said, but, well, you know me, I will understand you perfectly well, just please tell me. So he refused, but then, and he was irritated by these questions. So he was happy to meet me. I was happy to meet him, but questions, they irritated him. And he gave me an answer, and when I was amazed by it, because he said 52. I said, am I going to die when I'm 52? And he said, here it is. You always understand it the wrong way. So there were many details of that kind, and it all happened kind of quickly. And then he started leaving. kind of going into the air, in the darkness, and I shouted back at him, will you come back? And I said, strange word choice in the dreams. Will there be another meeting? Kind of official phrase.
Yeah.
I asked, and he said, yes, there will be a meeting. That's how the dream, which was kind of long, but happened very quickly, ended. I woke up, and it was 5 to 1. It was 5 to 1 o'clock at night. I looked, for some reason, I looked at the clock. I saw it 5 to 1, and I was trembling with my whole being, because it was such a vivid dream, as if it happened in the next room. So I woke up and I started walking and put everything on paper, because I was afraid to forget it. But this kind of dream, you never forget. It's like carved on you. You don't forget these dreams. But still, I did that. So I kind of walked in circles for half an hour or so, drank lots of water and smoked lots of cigarettes, and then I went to bed and I was asleep. Now, the next morning we had to leave, and my husband wanted to go to a museum of science, and we couldn't get there. Day after day we just couldn't get there. Italy, everything is closed, or they are on holiday, or something happens, or just sorry we are closed. So it was only the last day when we could do it. And before going to this museum, I had to go to the post office and send a book, and I felt some kind of disgust. I didn't want to send a book. I didn't want to move in that direction. Some kind of force, as if pulled me to the museum. I just went to the post office, and it was the next house. I just didn't want to go there. It was an aversion from this post office. I don't know why. Anyway, we came to the museum, and I was still under the impression of this dream, and we walked on all the floors, and in one of the last rooms on the upper floor, I suddenly enter this room, and I see that this room is made of shelves, and there are beautiful jars, white and black jars with the names of herbs. And I realized, here it is. So I ran around the room looking for the name, and I saw it on the upper shelf. There were 3 jars, and it stood right in the middle. And it was so unbelievable that I just started laughing from joy. And my husband, he already was moving forward, so I ran to get him. And at this very moment, there was a bell. They were closing the museum. And I realized, and I looked at my watch, it was 5 to 1, the exact time when I woke up. Yes, 12 hours before in my dream. So the dream that has a promise to meet again, the word that was promised to me many months ago, the time of waking, and if you want to look back to see how all this thing is done, and you can see how everyone is preparing for me, inviting me to the conference and doing this and that, and this editor suddenly inviting me together with my husband, people whom he doesn't know, to stay a week in his house, Everything is put together. So it's as if my father, from that side of the world, started preparing things in advance, very early. This is such a strange thing. It goes against the grain of all statistics. All things happening right now. And I realized later even that if I went to the post office, then there would be no 5 to 1. I would still be in the museum, but I would miss the moment. The timing was so perfect that it's scary in a way. It is scary. Scary.
Why?
I don't know. I think that the fear I'm talking about has something to do with the fact that if this is it, and if everything works that way, then where is our free will? Here's the source of my fear. Because all the time I thought that I have the free will, and so I moved according to it.
And now you were a kind of marionette in the hands of your father, or an afterlife father.
Yes. So then, okay, this was a happy circumstance, let's say. But things we are doing, people we are meeting, words we are reading, and so on, life we are living. Do we do it on our own, or are we moved like dolls from that side of the curtain? I don't know. Maybe it's a wrong question. I mean, maybe both answers are good answers. Yes and no at the same time. Is it paradoxical? Yes, it is. So just take it. Why do we suddenly get up and walk? Why do we miss the bus when we didn't intend to? Everything was fine, but for some reason we had to stop, check our keys again. Maybe we didn't need that bus. Maybe our fate was in another bus, and the fate was just to, to do something that we even do not record in our brain. I don't know, but this is amazing and fearful and wonderful at the same time.
Amazing, fearful, wonderful.
Mm-hmm.
The lack of free will, at the same time the illusion of free will. Not being able to choose what kind of a person we are, what kind of a thing we are.
Seems so, but this is not a pleasant idea. I mean that when we are under the illusion that we own this free will, we feel much better. But when we suddenly realize, maybe wrongly, that there is no free will, we have an unpleasant feeling. And then it's all gone again, because we do what we want to. It would seem, but maybe again for our human brain, that there is free will or there is no free will. What about the combination of the existence and the lack of the free will? I don't know, because this is something that I cannot answer, and it is even boring to think about.
Your father being somewhere else. Is it consoling? Is it frightening also?
Well,
you know that he is existing still.
Yes.
You're sure about it?
Yes, I know. Yeah. Each birthday, his birthday, or the day of his death, anniversary of his death, he sends some kind of signal, noted by everyone in the family. So we know that he's there, and he's watching and helping. That's how we feel. We feel him like as if he were a benevolent genius of a kind.
Kind of benevolent overseer.
Yes.
Taking care of his little Tatjana.
Yes, and others too. Others too.
Storytellers. We are storytellers.
Exactly, but what is storytelling but
stories also this afternoon?
Absolutely.
It's up to me to believe them or not.
Exactly.
But they're being told wonderfully. That's the only thing that matters? Finally.
Thank you, but if you believe so, then I'm telling the truth. I'm lying to tell the truth.
No, I think you're telling wonderful stories, but I'm not convinced about the truth.
The thing is that some kind of truth...
But does it matter?
No, because you do get some of the truth.
Right.
If you like it, it means you got the truth. And the details doesn't matter, just exactly as I said. If you want to believe that account of certain events, you can. If you think that I see everything wrong, it's true too. Same as imagining God. Small or large or animal or having 7 heads or whatever. Absolutely doesn't matter. what you are talking about could be, I could use a metaphor.
Yeah.
I'm telling you that someone is walking along the sand beach and leaving footprints. And you're telling me, I don't care who's walking along the beach, maybe he doesn't exist, I'm caring about the footprints. So both are true, both assertions are true. Yes, someone is walking along the beach and does leave footprints, but you want to look at the footprints, which are swashed away by water, by the way. And I'm talking about someone who does leave them. So it's two sides of the same thing.
Who does leave? How important is a sense of humor as, if we're talking about consolation, how important is self-mockery?
I think it's the thing of the greatest importance.
Yeah.
Of the greatest.
It's the instrument of.
Yeah. And I think that what makes the text, any text, the most boring and unbearable is the lack of this sense of humor and self-mockery, especially. But the good humor involves yourself, the author, the one who laughs at life, because there is the unpleasant kind of mockery. Everyone is bad except me, the dearest. It never works, actually. It never works. It's immediately seen by anyone who is keen enough. No, only look at us.
Look at me.
Look at me.
Look at me.
Yeah. No, but there's
Look in the mirror. My name is Tatjana Tolstaja. Just tell me, what's your name? My name is Tatjana Tolstaja.
For a while,
That's
yes.
enough sometimes.
Yeah. A mirror is a wonderful thing because it shows you not what you think you are. Never. If you pass at the mirror, sometimes you forget about its existence and you have a worried face and forehead, and suddenly you say, oh my God, look at this. What does she think she is? That's strange. We're talking about the body that is one thing and the self that is another thing. So when you see this in the mirror, you very often realize that it has nothing to do with yourself. It's just someone who never looked at herself from the outside and wants people to be compassionate. Huh?
Yeah.
Yeah.